Your FICO credit score affects many parts of your life, but if you're wanting to become a home buyer, then you really need to kind of focus in on it. So let's talk about what goes into the calculation of the FICO credit score. Learning this information will help empower you so that you can make changes to your score if your score is a little low. You have the ability to adjust it by just understanding its calculation. So in today's video, we're going to break down what makes up the calculation of the FICO credit score. Stay tuned. Hey, Laura Gallen here with Mountain Prairie Living, empowered by ERA Shields, and welcome to my channel where we answer questions about the home buying and selling process. We talk about this cool place I get to live in, Colorado Springs, and just all about the process of home buying and selling. In today's video, we're going to talk about the FICO score. What makes up the FICO score? What percentages are broken down into various categories, and it's going to empower you to be able to take control of your actions to create a higher credit score. So let's get into it. First thing, it's important to understand that the FICO credit score is evaluating your risk of being a borrower to the creditor. So your behaviors of the way you use your credit affects that credit score. Your credit score is used to evaluate you not just in lending or home loans or car loans. You might find that the insurance companies, both auto and home, may use your credit score to evaluate and price your product for you. But there are some employers, if you're working with their finances, they might run a credit score on you to see how well you manage your own finances. You have the power to take control of your credit score, and it's really understanding what it's made of. So let's talk about that. Your credit score is broken down into 5 components. The first one is your payment history. 35% of the score comes from your payment history. Are you paying on time or are you paying late? The next 30% comes from your credit use. So they're looking at how much credit you've been extended, so the amount of credit that you're extended, and how much of that have you used. So an example would be if you had a $1,000 credit card and you had it maxed at close to max at $900 balance, and you're continuing to pay on it and it's not going down, you keep using it, almost getting to the max. Or if it's $100 and you're just making those payments, maybe you pay it off every so often, there's a different behavior in that. One shows that you're probably using your credit to live on and maybe living above your means, and one means you're using credit in a responsible way, now and again, and paying it off in full. The next percentage, 15%, comes from the length of time that you've had credit. So it's really important to understand that as you work towards paying down your debt, that you don't close that account, because once you close that account, that length of time that account was open is no longer on your credit score. So pay it off. Definitely pay it down and pay it off, but keep it open. Just don't use it. So 15% of your score comes from the length of credit. Then the last 2 are at 10%. The first 10% is the mix of credit that you have. So they're looking that you have a variety of credit that you've used. So an installment loan for an auto loan or a recreation vehicle or something that you've used, maybe a mortgage or a personal loan, and of course revolving credit like a credit card. So they're looking for the mix of use. So 10% of your score is based on the mix of use of credit that you have extended to you. The last 10%, and this is one that people get a lot of hooked up on and worried about, is how often you're opening new accounts. So if you have a lot of new accounts or you're opening up small credit cards here and there, it's going to ding your credit score and it's going to drop it very drastically, because it means that there's a risk of a higher extended credit or credit use that's probably in the near future if you're applying for credit. Now, it's important to understand that if you're checking your own credit report yourself, that's not going to ding your credit. But new credit accounts, lots of new credit accounts, is 10% of your score. So you can see that you can control 80% of your credit report by just changing behaviors. 35% of your score is paying on time. So just begin to pay on time, even if it's the minimum. But if you can, sock more money down to it and start to drop your credit balances, you're going to improve the other 30%, which is your credit balances or extended credit. So if you pay on time and you begin to pay down that credit, that's 65%. The last 15% is to, once you pay off that credit, then leave it on there. That length of credit will help you. So 90% of your credit or 80% of your credit is in your control right there. The 10%, you know what? The additional 10% to bring you to 90 would be don't open any new accounts. Just work with what you have and focus in on paying it down and paying on time. That's really important to understand. This may take some work, right? It might mean you might have to take on a second job, maybe deliver pizzas, some Grubhub, do a side hustle for a while. And I know a lot of us are busy, but you can find a way to do it. And your most important thing is to stop using your credit. You're just putting yourself in a vicious cycle because credit card debt is very expensive, especially in an inflationary time. The interest rate on the credit makes it very difficult for you to get out of debt. So stop using it. That's the first thing that you should do. And then continue to pay it down and pay it on time. You're going to take control of your FICO score. You're going to improve it. And that in turn, when you go to buy a home, will put you in a category that's going to offer you a lower interest rate, which will enable you to qualify for a little bit more home. So remember, you're in control of your life, your decisions, your choices. It's hard to get it going because you might have a little bit too much debt right now, but if you focus in on it and you really want to achieve home ownership, you can make it happen. Here's a Swedish proverb. He who buys what he does not need steals from himself. Remember, you create the life you live. Create a great one. Take control of your finances and you will relieve so much stress in your life. If you'd like to know more about creating savings, then check out this video next. I'm so glad you are here. Thanks so much for watching. I'll see you on the next video.